Hello friends, this is Shelley from Koala Knits and Knacks. In this video, we are going to make another drop stitched scarf, but we're going to use a flat edge and we're going to add fringe and it's going to be beautiful. I'm going to use this beautiful yarn. Oh, this is so gorgeous. These colors are going to be so pretty in a drop stitch scarf. This is Loops and Threads Soft and Shiny. It is a medium 4-weight yarn in the color Baroque Multi. I think that's how you say it. We have 4 ounces and 113 grams in this particular ball, but you use like I don't even know, a quarter of the ball, third of the ball. To begin this project, we're going to need waste yarn. So grab a color of waste yarn that is contrast to the color of your working yarn so you can easily see the stitches. I'm going to take black. We're going to bring the last pink and the first white needle in line with our yarn guide here. For those of you who are new to my channel, you'll know if you have a Sentro that this white is actually marked 48, but I like to have it as my number 1. So I take a black permanent marker and mark the divider between the last pink and that first white, and I make this number 1. Okay, so if that confuses you, that's my explanation. We're going to take our waste yarn, we're going to cast on in front of that first white, behind, in front, and behind, all the way around. Letting that yarn slip through your fingers as you go around. You know, I have 3 Sentros, I have 2 Addies, and I love them all. I don't pull out my Sentro nearly enough because my go-to is, of course, my Addies. There's no doubt they are a better quality machine. Like, people ask all the time, like, is it... Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt myself here a bit. We're going to knit 7 or 8 rows, however many rows of waste yarn you're comfortable with. But people will always ask in different groups and, you know, under video comments, I'd like to get an Addie or a Sentro. Which one is better? I find that question so funny because all you got to do is actually even just look at the price and you'll know which one is better. And yes, they both knit. They both do the same job. We're like I'm showing you right now. We're making a beautiful scarf on the 48, and it is a nice width for beanies. But the overall mechanics in the working of the machine, there really is no comparison between this and the Addie. The Addie is a much better quality machine, but I do love my Sentros. I think the handle works so smoothly, and it's a quieter machine. It's just something about, there's things about it that I really love. I see that black divider coming around, so I'm going to stop. I have no idea how many rows I did. I'm going to set my counter to 0. Got that on Amazon as well. Set that to 0. And that's another thing between the machines. The Sentro counters are horrible. You have to buy new ones to use on your machines. I'm going to take my working yarn. I'm going to pop it into that yarn guide. In between the last pink and the first white, I'm going to hold both of those tails and I'm going to knit 4 or 5 needles. Then I'm going to push that down under that little divider and pull just to even out my tension there. You can give this one little tie. Drop it into the center just like that. And friends, you are not going to believe how easy this scarf is. This is row 1. I'm putting medium tension on my yarn. It's in between my fingers and then up just a little bit because there's a little bit more tension there. And just mild to medium tension. And I'm taking my time as I crank because you want to make sure you do not get any tucked stitches. Okay, tuck stitches is when that little loop does not go down over the pink teeth, and then the needle picks up this yarn and they both go down together, and you get like just this wonky stitch. If you have any tucked stitches in this scarf, then your row will only drop up to that point and then it won't go further, and you can't do anything about it. You have to take your project apart and start it over again. So you want to make sure that you're going at an even speed where you can watch as those needles pass by and make sure that every needle is passing by and picking up that yarn, taking it down under the loop, and that loop is over the 2 pink little teeth. Just want to make sure that's all in place, and sometimes that means going a little bit slower, and it's worth it because you only have to do, here's the magic number, friends, 65 rows. Okay, so keep knitting just like this until you have 65 rows. Doesn't take long. It really, truly does not take long. And when you get there, come back and see me and we will do the next part. Don't take it off your machine. Make sure you stay with me. Coming up on row 65. Here we go. I'm going to watch for that black divider to come around, and there it is. It's going to stop right in front of my yarn guide. If you're doing any longer than this, mine is already starting to touch the table. If you're making it any longer than mine, then you want to make sure that once it starts to touch the table that you pick it up and you roll it into a donut, so that it keeps the tension even here. If it's on the table and pushing up, then you're going to risk dropping these loops off these pink teeth. So if it's getting to the table, then make sure you start rolling it up. But we're almost done here, so we're going to cut off a long tail for sewing. So cut off one that goes around your barrel at least once or twice, and then put that in between. Oh, look at the static. Holy smokes. Look at that. Put that in between the last pink and the first white needle, okay? Make sure that's where it goes. You're going to go ahead and grab your waste yarn once again. And you're going to pop it into the center. You're going to hold both of these, and you're going to, you don't need to worry about the tension being even on these first ones with waste yarn because it's just waste yarn, but you're going to go ahead and you're going to knit as many rows as you're comfortable with, but I'd say don't do any less than 7. 7 is my magic number. That's what I always do. And generally, when I'm doing a project, I will, when you put waste yarn at the end, I'm going to give this a little tie too, just to keep it safe. All you got to do is when you finished your waste yarn rows, amount of rows that you want, you cut it off, and then you crank your handle without feeding the yarn through. Like you put your tail in between and you cut it off, and then you rotate your handle twice and your project will come off. But I'm going to do it a little differently today because I don't want my waste yarn to start unraveling. So I don't know how many rows again. That's probably 7. So there we go. So normally I would just cut this off, pop it in the middle, rotate my handle twice, and my project would come off. But I'm going to take a yarn tail here that goes around my barrel 1.5 to 2 times. We're going to take it off a little bit differently, and I'll tell you why. When we take it off this way, and a dear member of my channel, a subscriber, told me to do this. She said, why don't you do this sometimes? And I said, that is a fantastic idea. And that is when we're working with our project to do anything extra to it, and we don't want this to start unraveling because it's loose, and it will unravel if you just take it off the normal way. She said, pick it up like you were doing a gather, except for you're not going to gather it. You're just holding those stitches. And that is what I'm going to do, because I do not want my black yarn to start unraveling, and this yarn is so soft and slippery that it unravels very quickly. So now I'm just going to turn my handle and I'm going to pick up each of those stitches until I get my project off the machine. And then all these little loops are held and they're not going to begin to unravel. It's just a simple little thing, but it's genius. It's genius. And then when you get it off, don't pull on it because you don't want to gather that end. You don't want to tighten it. Okay, friends, so that's all I'm doing. I'm turning my handle and I'm picking off all these stitches as the needle drops down. We're going to go all the way around and remove our project. Go ahead and do that when you get to the end and you have your project off the machine. For me, I'm going to remove my machine and we're going to move on to the next part. I have my piece off the machine and I put a stitch marker on the end of the project. This was the last waste yarn we put on, and because that's the side we're going to drop from. Okay, so we're going to take this off the end. Just because we have waste yarn on both sides, you might get confused now which was the front and which was the end. We're going to stretch this out. Isn't this beautiful? Even just like this, it's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous piece and it's so soft. I just love it. We're going to close the beginning first, okay? So what I want you to do is grab your crochet hook. I'm using a 5mm hook. And I'm going to go where my yarn tail from my working yarn is coming out. We'll see that loop that it's right beside, right there. That's when I'm going to put this next stitch marker into. Just those two, okay? And we do that because when we're closing up our tube, sometimes these last two are very hard to find and we don't want to miss them. I know that there are 48 stitches on here because I use my 48 needle Sentro. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to find the very far side that's half. So I'm going to count 24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. 24 and 25. Those are the very center stitches going this way. So this is the top row, this is the bottom row. I'm going to put my hook in 25. If you were using your 46 needle Addy, you're going to do 23 and 24. Okay, so I'm going to pick up stitch 25 here. So this is 24 that's off the hook. This is the other half. I'm going to pick up stitch 25 and I'm going to go underneath stitch 24, pick it up and bring it through that loop on my hook. I'm going to go down to the bottom row, pick up that next one, bring it through the loop on my hook. I'm using a 5mm hook, by the way. I'm going up to the top, grabbing that loop, bringing it through the loop on my hook. I'm going down to the bottom, picking up that loop, going through the loop on my hook. Up to the top. We're going to repeat this all the way down. If this is one of the first or second times that you've done this, please count these loops as you go. So then the first one that you put your hook under on the edge here, you count that as number 1. Then up at the top, that was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you keep going, making sure you count every one, because when we get to the end, your last 2 will be 47 and 48. If you miss one of these, then you're going to drop a row and it's not going to be the kind of dropping that we want to do for this scarf, okay? We're dropping from the other end. So we want to make sure this end is secure. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to finish this up until I get to the end. And when I get there, I will close it off with you, okay? Going back and forth, bottom to the top, bottom to the top. Doesn't matter if you go over your loop like that or if you go under your loop like this, under your loop like this, or over. Doesn't matter. The point is you just want to get that loop and take it through the loop that's on your hook. That is what you are aiming for. All right, friends, I'll see you when I get to the end. I'm at the end. This was 46. I can pick up on that stitch marker. That's 47. So the one at the bottom is always 47. The one at the top is 48. Or 45 and 46 if you're on your Addy. And we're going to finish that off. We're going to yarn over with that tail we left, pull it through, and push down that knot with our thumb to tie off. What you're going to do from there, friends, is we're going to take off our waste yarn, get it right out of the way. So you're going to roll up till you get to that very first row. You might have to go down a little further so you can actually see it there. There we go. And black is hard for you to see, but when you take that very first row and you rock that back and forth, you can see it's going through that very top loop. That's the last loop, so you know you're on the right row. Pinch the loop, pull the tail. Go down 8 or 10. You can see I've got the very last stitch. Pinch the stitch, pull the tail. Go down, roll up, get the very top row, pinch the stitch, pull the tail. We're going to do that all the way around till the first row is out. There is another method of using waste yarn where you just pull that one row out. I have that on my channel too. You can check that out, how to remove waste yarn. And you can do it that way too, but this is my preferred method. This is what I do all the time. Okay, so now I'm almost at the end there. I can pull that out, then I can begin wrapping. And as I wrap, it's removing that waste yarn from my project. There we go. We've got our waste yarn off. And we've got a beautiful edge there. We can take our tail that we have there. We can pop that in underneath just that top row of stitches, because when we're dropping our rows, we want it to come right down to the bottom. So don't get it caught up in there so that it stops your drop. Okay, so I'm just getting rid of this on the very top row of those loops that we just worked. Pull it through, cut it off. And there we go. Beautiful, beautiful finish. Now we're going to go down to the other side. And this is where we're going to take a little bit of a different approach. I have my long tail that we left purposefully on this end. So we're going to start on this side. And I'm going to show you how we're going to find the same 2 stitches. So 24 and 25. My waste yarn is coming out of this stitch. So that's going to be my first one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I'm going to take that stitch marker, pop it in 24, take the second one and pop it in the very next one, 25. And we're going to turn this so it's this way because we're going to work from this way over to those 2 stitch markers, okay? A little different than what we've done before. All right, so once our stitch markers are in there and we've counted up to these 2 stitches, well, you don't even have to count because you see where the waste yarn is coming, or where our working yarn is coming out is attached to this loop right here, okay? So that's the first one at that top row. Where our waste yarn is coming out of this loop, this is the first one on the bottom row that we're going to work. So we have to go into that first one. And because we're skipping every second stitch, we're going to skip this one. But in order to skip it, we have to chain 1 to go into that next one. So I'm going to chain 1, yarn over and bring it through that loop. Then I'm going to skip this one and I'm going to go into this one. And I'm going to, let's get that waste yarn out of the way. And I'm going to bring it through that loop on my hook. Then I have to skip 1 on the bottom row. So I'm going to chain 1 so that I have the room to skip it. There's the next one that I would have normally picked up. I'm going to miss it. I'm going to go into this one. Bring it through the loop on my hook. I'm going to chain 1. And I'm going to skip 1. So this is the next one that we would do, but we're going to skip it and we're going to go into this one and bring it through the loop that's on our hook. Chain 1, skip 1, go into the next one through the loop on your hook. Chain 1, skip 1, go into the loop. Oops, sorry. Skip 1, go into that next loop, bring it through the loop on your hook. This is very slippery yarn, that's why I'm having a hard time. Chain 1, skip 1, pick up the next one. Chain 1, skip 1, pick up the next one. Chain 1, skip 1, pick up the next one. Chain 1, skip 1, pick up the next one. Chain 1, skip 1, pick up the next one. Chain 1, skip 1, pick up the next one. Chain 1, skip 1, pick up the next one. Chain 1. I'm going to get irritating to you, I know, but it's very important that you get this down. Doesn't matter if this yarn tail is on this side or on this side, but I think the one stitch I had it on this side, but I like it best if it's out of the way and on the underneath side here. So chain 1, skip 1, pick up 1. Chain 1, skip 1, pick up 1. Chain 1. We're going to skip this one and go into this one. Chain 1, skip this next one and go into the next one. Chain 1, skip the next one and go into the next one. Chain 1, skip this one and go into this one. You can fast forward through this, but I'm going to stick with you right to the end. Chain 1, skip 1, pick up 1. Chain 1, skip 1, pick up 1. Oh, don't split your stitch. Hang on. Pick up one. Chain one. Skip one. Pick up one. Oops. Chain one. Skip one. Pick up one. Chain one. Skip one. Pick up one. Chain one. Pay particular attention to what I'm doing here. Chain one, skip one. Underneath that first bobby pin, I can take that out, pick it up. Now I only have one left, and it's right beside the one that I just did on the bottom and the one I just did on the top. So this is a skip one. You do not work that one. So I'm going to just take that bobby pin out. I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go through that last loop that I just had. Then I can go ahead, tie that down, push it down with my thumb. Now we've got this same distance across as we do on this side because we did the chain one. So it's the same width. If we wouldn't have done the chain one, this one would have narrowed itself and been really tight, and it would have been not nice. So every second stitch is now ready to drop. What we're going to do is we are going to remove our waste yarn. And you see how we did that? How we put our how we picked up the stitches at the end, and now this isn't unraveling. Had we not done that, when we were working all this, this would have been starting to unravel and would have been a real pain. Now you can take your tail and you can pop it in there, bring it out the side, and I'll show you why. Put your finger in that loop because you don't want to push this all the way through, but now this is out of the way so that when you take off your waste yarn, it's not going to tangle around your end. Thank you again, Tina, from my Facebook group, who told us about that little trick. It's brilliant. Small little trick. You know what? Trick. But if you are not in my Facebook group, friends, you need to be. We have brilliant people over there, and we all are encouragement to one another. It's a wonderful group, Koala Knits and Knacks. The link will be in the description box below. If you have not subscribed to this channel, do that first. Then come on over and join my Facebook group and join our little happy community. We have so much fun. It's just a great place. So come on over and do that. I'm removing this waste yarn the same way I did the other side. I'm going to take it off. Wind it up as I go because I'm going to use it again. See how wonderful that is? And friends, the magic is going to happen in just a second. Oh, can't wait, but I want to take a measurement for you. So I also want to take this out. This measured is 14.5. Should be a little bit longer than that. Maybe it's because it's not stretched. Let's see here. Let me see. Let me do that again. Yeah, it's 15. Between 14 and 15. 14.5. But once we stretch, once we do the magic, it's going to be 3 times that long. So yay, can't wait. So what you're going to do now is you're going to take this very top. You can see this very top where we just did our crochet work. Grab it. Oops. Oh, I forgot to take out my, here, whew, pull this out first, okay? You're going to then grab this and you're going to pull on it. Oh my word. You know what? Those calming videos that you can watch, like all we need to do is do a drop. If you're stressed out, just make a drop stitch scarf because this is so therapeutic. Friends, like, come on. And then down at the bottom here, you're going to just have to play with it because you want to get every last row done. There we go. Just grab that very last row with your tips of your fingers and pull. Get every one of those stitches dropped. Grab the seam that you did with your crochet hook. And there you have, I'm going to play with it a little bit longer off camera, but there you have a drop stitch scarf with a straight edge, and both edges are the same in length. But I'm going to, you know what, take it in half like this and pull. So this is your seam is in the middle. Take both ends and pull. And pull. And then it's opening it or dropping it right down to the very, very last stitch. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to put this in half. We're not done yet. I'm going to put this in half. I'm going to just give it a little stretch just so we can measure it again. Did this with the last one that I did, and I'm assuming it's going to be the same, but let me just measure it for you. It is now 19, so 38 inches. So when this is not, it'll be a little bit longer. It's like 40 inches because, I mean, it's going to stretch even more when you have it off. But there you go. You have a drop stitch scarf with a straight edge. Now we are going to add our fringe. I'm going to grab a 6-inch piece of cardboard because I want a 6-inch fringe. From here to here is 6 inches. And we are going to put our yarn on it, and we're going to just wrap it around. And wrap, and wrap, and wrap. Don't pull tight because you don't want to bend your cardboard. You're going to just nicely wrap around. Just like so, going straight up and down. Because if you go across like this, your length will be off. So you're going to go just straight up and down. And I'll stop right there, just and I'll make more in a bit, but just to show you, I'm going to cut that off. This is 6 inches from here to here, but it's also 6 inches from there to there. So this is now a 12-inch length, but because we're going to just put one cut. Pick it up and cut it anywhere. It doesn't matter if you cut there or down there, as long as you just do one cut. Then when you take this off, you now have 12 inches. But when we put it onto our project, it becomes 6 inches again. We are going to take that tail that was still attached from our last row that we did, and we're going to just weave it in and out of the bottom of that thickest part of the seam, just a little ways, making sure you keep it straight though, don't pull it in together, and then go back the other way. Our fringe is going to hold this in place, so don't stress out too much about this. Then I'm going to cut this off. And for our fringe, we're going to take one piece, put it in half, and see, so now the 12 inches becomes 6 inches again because it's in half. Pop your hook from underneath, up, grab the loop, pull it through. You've got a loop on your hook, yarn over, pull those 2 tails through that loop, and you have a fringe. Our fringe, when you go from the underside up like this, the bar of the fringe, actually the right side of the fringe is at the top now because that bar is over the top. On the other side, you don't have it. So you want to do your fringe the same way all the way across, okay? Then when you do your fringe on this other side, you make sure that you fold it so that you can see which is the front. Not that it matters really with a loopy scarf like this because you're really not going to see it, but I always say you have to pay attention to detail, okay? So this is the front. When you this is too long to show you in the thing, but when you hold this flat, this is the top. So you want to make sure that on this side, you're going from the underside up too, okay? So we're going to then take another fringe, put it in half, come on over, go underneath, spread these out as much as you want, grab that loop, pull it through. You have the loop on your hook, yarn over those 2 tails, pull it through that loop on your hook, and pull down really tight. That's how you add your fringe. I'm going to, you can see, here's the loop, here's the loop, here's the loop, here's the loop, here's the loop. I'm going to put 2 in every loop, okay? I did 1 in the corner there, but I'm going to move this one over. I'm going to put 2 in every loop all the way across, and when I'm done, I'll see you back. I've got my fringes done. I did 19 on each side. I don't know why there's not an even number, but there's 19. I counted it. That's how it turned out. So do about 20, 18 to 20 fringes on each side. Look at how staticky it is down in my room. Like, look at this. This is crazy. I'm going to go and take my straightener. Now with this fringe, it's sitting pretty flat, but I'm going to take my hair straightener. I'm going to put it on its high heat, and I'm going to take these and I'm going to straighten them. And then you'll see a whole new fringe that looks absolutely gorgeous. So go ahead. If you have a straightener, do that as well. And then I'll meet you back. There you go, friends. We've gone and done it. We've made a drop stitch scarf with a flat edge. Now, the measurement that I gave you doesn't include the fringe. So we have a 6-inch fringe on each side. So you got to add another 12 inches actually to the length of this. So it's just perfect for me. I'm 5'3", so this fits, this is a beautiful length for me. If you need it to be a little bit longer, then add 5 rows to it, and then you'll have, you know, a little bit more length, because remember it almost triples, not quite, but almost. So thanks again for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. Be sure to surf through all these pictures, because there's 4 different ways that I've shown you how you can wear them, and I just hope that you enjoy your scarf. Please show me your creation in my Facebook group. Come on over to Koala Knits and Knacks. I would love to see. If you are in other knitting groups and you post there, please tag me, and then I'll be able to see and comment there as well. So thanks again, my friends, for joining me. I always appreciate spending the time with you. I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial, and that you make many, many, many drop stitch scarves with a flat edge. All right, friends, have a wonderful, wonderful day. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the thumbs up.